The air in the house had grown heavy, suffocating, like an unseen force pressing against the walls. The laughter that once echoed in the corridors had been replaced with whispers, secretive, chilling whispers that disappeared as soon as you walked into the room. Something was wrong. You felt it in your bones. For years, you had been giving your heart and soul to your family, believing that love was enough to keep everyone together. You had shared your joys, your struggles, your dreams, never once imagining that someone among you was not truly with you. They had worn a mask so perfect that even the sharpest eyes had been deceived. But God sees all. And now, the moment of truth had arrived. The signs were always there. Looking back, the signs had always been there. The missing money, the twisted words, the subtle manipulations that left you questioning your own reality. At first, you dismissed them. You told yourself you were imagining things. Families stick together, you reminded yourself. They wouldn't betray me. But deep inside, something gnawed at you. The strange way they avoided your gaze when you asked a direct question. The way they thrived on chaos, whispering lies in the shadows, and watching as relationships crumbled. They never wanted peace, only control. Then came the dreams. Vivid, unsettling dreams where a snake slithered through your home, coiling around everything you loved. You woke up in cold sweats, your heart pounding. Was it just your mind playing tricks? Or was God trying to tell you something? The divine warning. God has a way of revealing the truth when the time is right. He doesn't always shout. Sometimes he whispers. The whispers come through intuition, through patterns, through undeniable signs that demand attention. It started with an overheard conversation. Low voices in the next room, a name spoken in hushed urgency. Your name. You held your breath, straining to hear, and what you caught sent a shiver down your spine. They have no idea. How much longer before they notice? Laughter, a cruel, mocking laughter that felt like a knife to the heart. The words didn't make sense, not yet, but something inside you shifted. You couldn't ignore it anymore. You needed to know the truth. The revelation begins. The next few days were a test of patience. You watched, you listened, and then a moment of clarity. A missing piece of the puzzle fell into place, and suddenly everything made sense. The betrayal wasn't from a stranger. It wasn't from an outsider. It was someone who had sat at your table, shared your meals, smiled in your face while poisoning your name behind your back. The weight of the realization hit you like a tidal wave. Anger, hurt, disbelief. How could they? After everything you had done for them? After all the times you had stood by their side, defended them, loved them? But this was no time for self-pity. It was time for truth. Time for the mask to be ripped away. God's justice is unstoppable. You prayed, with tears streaming down your face. You fell to your knees and cried out to God. Show me, Lord. Reveal what has been hidden. Let the truth come to light. And God answered. A forgotten message resurfaced. A slip of the tongue from a friend. A document you weren't meant to find. Piece by piece, the puzzle came together until there was no denying it anymore. The rat in your family had finally been caught. Now, it was time for the confrontation. Time for the truth to be spoken. The weight of it pressed down on your chest. But you knew you were not alone. God had guided you this far, and he would see you through. As you prepared for what was to come, one thought echoed in your mind. What is done in the dark will always be brought to the light. The air was electric with tension. You could feel it in your bones. The storm was about to break. Every moment leading up to this had been filled with uncertainty, with second-guessing. But now there was clarity. The mask was slipping, and the truth could no longer be hidden. You sat across from them, the person you had once trusted with your whole heart. Their eyes flickered with something. Was it fear? Guilt? Or just the desperate need to keep their lives intact? But it was too late for that. The game was over. I know everything. Those 3 words changed everything. The room fell silent. The only sound was the ticking of the old clock on the wall. Seconds stretched into eternity as they stared at you, calculating their next move. "What do you mean?" they asked, their voice carefully controlled. But you could hear it. The slight waver, the unspoken panic. You didn't need to explain. You simply laid it all out before them. The messages, the stolen money, the web of deceit they had woven so carefully, thinking no one would ever unravel it. At first, denial. "You're mistaken." Then came the anger. "How could you accuse me of something like this?" And finally, the breaking point, the moment where they realized there was no escape. The truth cuts deep. For years, they had hidden behind a facade, pretending to be your supporter, your family, someone who only wanted the best for you. But in reality, they had been the source of your downfall. The reason doors had closed in your face. The reason opportunities had slipped through your fingers. They had whispered in the shadows, poisoned the minds of others against you, all while playing the innocent victim. But now, their carefully built illusion was crumbling. Tears welled up in your eyes, not for them, but for yourself, for the years lost, for the love given freely and exploited, for the pain you had endured without even knowing the source. "How could you?" you asked, your voice barely above a whisper. After everything, they didn't answer, because there was no answer that could justify their betrayal. God's justice is swift. When God reveals the enemy, he also brings justice. You had prayed for clarity, and now that you had it, there was no going back. But revenge? No, that wasn't your path. Your path was peace. Your path was healing. You thought no one would ever know, you said, standing up, but God always knows, and he always exposes the truth. And with that, you walked away. There was no need to argue, no need to fight. The truth was more powerful than any weapon, and it had already done its job. A new beginning. As you stepped, the days that followed were strange. Quiet. Almost too quiet. For so long, you've been surrounded by the chaos of their lies, their manipulation, their whispered deceit. Now that they were gone, it was as if a weight had been lifted. But in its place, there was an emptiness. Not sadness, but something else. A realization. You had spent years believing they were part of your destiny, that they were meant to walk this path with you. But God had removed them for a reason. And now, as you stood in the stillness of your new reality, a question lingered in your mind. What was I blind to while they were in my life? God removes to replace. When God takes someone out of your life, it is never by accident. You might not see it immediately, but in time, you will understand he was protecting you. As you started reflecting on everything, patterns emerged. How many times had you been on the verge of a breakthrough, only for something to suddenly go wrong? How many doors had closed just when you thought you were about to step through? And now, as you look back, it became painfully clear they had been the blockage all along. They had smiled in your face while planting seeds of doubt in the minds of those who could have helped you. They had manipulated situations to keep you small, to keep you dependent on them, so that you would never surpass them. They weren't just a rat. They were the storm that had been holding you back. God's blessings began to pour in. The shift happened quickly, almost too quickly. The same people who had once turned their backs on you suddenly started reaching out. Apologies, opportunities, doors that had once been slammed shut were now wide open. It was as if God had been waiting for this moment all along, waiting for you to see the truth, waiting for you to let go of what was never meant for you. "I was trying to bless you," God seemed to whisper, "but I couldn't because they were in the way." The realization hit hard. How many blessings had you delayed because you were holding on to someone who was never meant to go with you? How many times had God tried to show you the signs, but you ignored them out of love, out of loyalty? But here's the thing about God's plan. When it's time, it's time. Closure, but not revenge. There was one last step before you could truly move forward. Not revenge, not anger, but forgiveness. Not for them. No, they didn't deserve your grace, but for yourself. Because carrying bitterness would only weigh you down, not them. So, one night, in the quiet of your room, you spoke it into existence. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I refuse to let your actions define my future. And just like that, the last chain broke, stepping into your destiny. Now you walk lighter, freer. The blessings that have been waiting for you are finally arriving. The dreams that once felt impossible are now within reach. Because when God removes someone from your life, it is never a loss. It is always a divine replacement. And this is just the beginning. God is about to take you places they never wanted you to go. And this time, nothing will hold you back.